Okay, continuing now with emotion regulation, and we're halfway through talking about the skill of opposite action and problem solving, deciding which one to use. Okay, and so I had gone through about half of this, but the next thing is to continue to look at that and look at the side of it that's over here, so that if you ask yourself, does this emotion fit the facts? And then you check the facts to see if it fits, and you say, no, it doesn't. It doesn't fit. There's not a tiger in that room, or no, there's no evidence that that person did that to you, etc., etc. Right? So you say, no, it doesn't fit the facts. So but you still might ask, well, it might not fit the facts, but maybe the emotion that I'm caught in could actually be effective at accomplishing something. So that's the second question always to ask is it effective? Now, if it doesn't fit the facts and it's not thought to be something effective, like the fear of the tiger that's no longer in the room, the fear of the person who's actually not going to do you any harm, the shame about the event that you didn't do anything that actually is damning about you or could get you thrown out of a group, so that shame is not really doesn't fit. So all of these are where it doesn't fit the facts. Then you would probably proceed to not acting on the urges, but to not problem solving, but to act opposite the urge in order to reduce that emotion and get a different emotion in place, as we'll go over in a minute. So this is not a simple form to teach. I just want to recommend that you want to really have a couple of good examples when you're going to teach this particular little algorithm, because it's confusing for people if you don't have some clear examples that you can use either from your own life or one of their lives, or just another hypothetical example of working your way through this worksheet. But realize there is this valuable thing you don't want to lose, which is that when you are caught in an emotion that you wish you could get rid of or get less of or transform, that you want to ask yourself, does this fit the facts? Because if it does fit the facts, you're going to move in the direction of problem solving the situation. If it does not fit the facts, then you want to get the emotion down and unhooked from the facts. And so you're going to use opposite action. So let me talk about opposite action, which is handout number 10. Every emotion has an action urge, and you change the emotion by acting opposite to that urge. So as it goes over in here, if you have fear, the action urge is typically run away or avoid. The opposite action will be opposite to that. It'll be to approach and to not avoid. With shame, the typical urge is going to be to hide or avoid. And so the opposite action is move towards it. Don't hide out. Don't fail to expose. You might expose the thing you're thinking about. Go tell several people about it and learn that actually your brain will now learn that this is not actually going to get you expelled from the situation. It's not actually going to get you the degree of negativity that you're anticipating and that you're ashamed about. So you learn only by doing it. And how do you do it? And Linehan lists a sort of step-by-step 7 steps. So first, identify and name the emotion. So let's say, so use a good example. This is what you need to do in your class, and I'm not doing it very well right now. So pick one example. Let's say you're going to that you're terrified of going to parties. So you have social anxiety about going to parties, and then you check the facts and realize that actually there's nothing objectively dangerous or a threat to your well-being or your life to go to a party. You're anxious, okay? So you decide, I'm going to act opposite. All right, so step one, identify and name the emotion. Well, I'm really scared of going to the party. Now check the facts to see if your emotion is justified by the facts. Gee, are the facts? Let me think through this party. Let me think of parties I've been to. Let me think about what I know about parties. Let me ask somebody about parties. Check the facts in whatever way I can, and I find that actually nobody's going to throw anything at me. Nobody's going to hit me. I'm probably not going to get pelted with insults just going to a party. I might be a dud, or the party might be a dud, but that's different. That's not going to promote intense anxiety. That doesn't have to anyway. You're trying to change that. So you check the facts and you decide, you know what? This is not dangerous. Identify and describe your action urges. Well, my action urge is to first stay away from the party, or once I get there, my action urge is to get out of there, or to hide out, or to not talk to anybody, right? Now, step 4, ask wise mind, would acting on this emotion be effective in this situation? Well, effective to get away from the party? There's no real effectiveness involved there, except to say I'm going to avoid it. It's effective only in the sense that I avoid my anxiety. Otherwise, actually, I want to be able to go to parties sometimes, so it's not very effective. Now, if your emotion doesn't fit the facts, which it doesn't here, and if it isn't effective in this situation to follow the urge of the emotion, now identify the opposite actions to your action urges. Opposite actions, stay at the party. Opposite actions, go to the party. Opposite actions, act like a party animal, like go from group to group, person to person, and be openly present at the party with your mind open. Step 6, act opposite all the way, because if you go part way, meaning you go to the party but you stand and you hang out in the corner, or you talk to one person the whole night that's a good friend, you stand behind the punch bowl and just drink punch all night, you get yourself totally intoxicated so that actually you're kind of lose control over what you're going to be doing. Those are not all to act opposite all the way. All the way means you go to the party, you take your brain to the party, you accompany yourself to the party, you go to different groups, you talk to different groups, you feel the pain, you feel the anxiety, you go through that, and ultimately it's only through that, exposing your brain to the dark corners of your fear of going to the party. Only by doing that do you learn that it's not dangerous to go to the party. And finally, step 7, repeat acting opposite. Do it again and do it again and do it again. And it's only through this that you're going to be able to reduce this emotion. Now, how do you decide what the opposite actions are? You know, that's sort of the next handout, number 11, and it's a starred handout again. Oops, let me see. So, you know, you're figuring out opposite actions. I notice this is the format for every emotion now. There's going to be a whole series of pages. This one's fear. It tells how fear fits the facts. What kind of facts? What are opposite actions for fear that are typical? What's all the way opposite actions for fear, right? And so it tells you literally, but these are suggestions, and you got to tailor this to the person, because different people have different urges. People have different opposite actions for urges. So you've got a page for fear, anger, disgust, envy, jealousy, love, sadness, shame, and guilt. So all of those are there. It guides you through them. These are resources. You don't teach all of those. These are resources for your clients to look at, to find their emotion that they're trying to change with acting opposite. The other direction, as you know by now, is problem solving. So now, if your situation, by checking the facts, you find out that, you know, your emotion is kind of a good read of the environment, it's a good fit of the facts, then you don't want to like try to reduce that emotion, and that emotion you might say is on target, it's appropriate. So you want to solve the problem. And maybe then your emotion will go down because the event will be solved, okay? So Linehan lists 7 steps for problem solving, starting with figuring out and describing the situation. By the way, this is just a great problem solving worksheet for all kinds of problem solving. So there's nothing special about this except she's applying it to this situation where you have emotions about something. And as you have hopefully have the page there, you figure out and describe the problem situation. Check the facts, all the facts, to make sure you have the right problem situation. You know, that this is the thing your emotion is about, is this problem situation. So you need to spell it out. Then step 3, identify your goal in solving them. What is it that you need to do to solve the problem? Well, you get a tiger out of the room. That's an obvious one. Could be difficult if you've done something that you feel very guilty about. You really violated your own standards, and you're disappointed in yourself, and you feel guilt. So how do you solve that problem? Well, you might follow the urge to go apologize and repair in some way. So that would be, to identify your goal might be to effectively apologize or effectively repair. Brainstorm lots of possible solutions, because it might not be easy to come to the right one first, whatever your wise mind solution would be. Then choose one of the solutions that fits your goal and that you think you can do and that you think is likely to work. Put that solution into action and evaluate the results of using the solution. If it worked, all right, great. So you've solved the problem. If it didn't work, go back a couple steps where you had brainstormed solutions and try a different solution. Okay? Again, the key is to find examples of this. The next handout, which is also starred, but is not the kind of thing you teach the whole handout. It's another resource page, several pages of resources, which is for every emotion. It walks you through as a review. Here's the events that justify the emotion, right? Here's what it is to act opposite the urge of that emotion. And here's how to act with the emotion urge, or to problem solve, or to avoid a situation if that's what's called for to deal with the emotion. Okay? On to the next big part of the module, which is handouts for reducing vulnerability to emotion mind. And this means all those things you do to try to make yourself less vulnerable to get intense and difficult emotions. The first page of this, an overview, as you see lots of our overview pages, even though they're very important for you, and I think the patients, don't necessarily have a star. But this shows an overview of this particular section of the module. We're talking about trying to reduce vulnerability or to increase resiliency through 4 things. Accumulating positive emotions helps you to become more resilient. Building mastery in your life increases your self-respect, helps you become more resilient. Cope ahead of time with emotional situations helps you to act in a way that anticipates triggering events of emotions and cope ahead of time with them, think ahead. And finally, please, the please skills, which is taking care of your mind by taking care of your body. Okay? So there's going to be starred handouts for each of these. First one is accumulating positive emotions. They're short-term and long-term versions of this. The short-term is that you want to build positive experiences now by doing things that will likely increase pleasant events and that help you get positive emotions, because you're doing things that predictably will give you positive emotions. And then once you've got a list of these typical things, not that they'll work every time, but then do one thing each day from that list is one of the skills. And practice an opposite action in that you feel like avoiding doing these things, and act opposite and don't avoid. Go ahead and do them anyway, because it's going to be more effective to do that. And once you do pleasant events, try to be mindful of those pleasant events and try to do them one at a time so you really notice what it's like. Okay? be back with more, probably the final one next.